Hey guys, my name is Matimeo, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from James, and it is, do you think that Ubisoft will be able to combat the hacking in Rainbow Six Siege? I have heard a lot of complaints recently about hacking in this game. Getting shot from across the map by a pistol, getting shot through a wall randomly and dying. All you can see is the left elbow of the enemy as they round the corner, and then you die to that instant headshot. All of this feels like they're hacking against you, and while I'm sure that some of them are, I know that there are hackers in this game. I'm not trying to belittle your concerns. I personally feel like this is more due in part because of the game mechanics and more netcode related issues, and less actually people using software to take you out. You have to remember in Rainbow Six Siege that knowledge is power. If you scout out someone with your drone on offense and you realize that he's in the left-hand corner, but he didn't see that you scouted him with the drone, so he just kind of chills there, that's a pretty easy kill for you. I cannot tell you how many times I realized an enemy was directly behind the wall that was in front of me, and I was able to just line it up and pretty much get a headshot on him with just a couple of bullets. There's other times where you can use the audio to your advantage. You hear a little bit of rustling when they place down the breaching charge on a wall, and if you're lucky enough, you can get a nice headshot. On their end though, when they watch the kill cam, it looks like you're straight up hacking. Why did all of a sudden you whip your weapon in that direction and start blind firing through a wall? Like, that just seems very suspicious. But then when you think about it for a while, it could have been a myriad of things. It could have been his teammate called you out. It could have been the drone. It could have been audio. All of these things contribute to it, and while who knows, maybe it was a hacker. Maybe he was using some software to take you out. More often than not, I think it's just more of the game mechanics that they're taking advantage of. Another thing that I think contributes to these accusations is the mechanic of the one-shot headshot and the fact that the first bullet that comes out of your weapon is always 100% accurate for where you're pointing at. Even if you're using a pistol, if you line up a headshot on glass from across the map, you can counter-snipe him with that pistol. I've had situations where an enemy went on a tear with a pistol because he was godlike with it. He could line up those headshots for days, and even though he was shooting people across the map, because there's no bullet deviation in this game, there's only recoil that you have to compensate for, that bullet where you point and when you squeeze a trigger is gonna go exactly where you want it to. If that is a headshot, you're going to drop. On top of this, we also have the pretty abysmal netcode in Rainbow Six Siege. As much as I adore and love this game, it does have some problems with the netcode, and mainly the peeker's advantage. I'm sure this has happened to you guys on numerous occasions where you're in a room, you're watching a doorway, an enemy starts to peek around the corner. All you can see is maybe like his left toe, his shoulder, and then he immediately drops you. You didn't even see his head pop around the corner, but because the server and everything isn't lining up, the netcode is just wonky or whatever you want to call it, he's able to drop you no problem. And so I think it's just a combination between all these different factors that can lead to these suspicious moments. Are there hackers in Rainbow Six Siege? Absolutely. If you're attentive and you look at the left-hand corner, every once in a while you'll see Fair Fight, the anti-cheat software that they're using, announce to everyone that someone got banned for hacking. It's glorious when that happened, but for the 200 hours that I put into this game, and I can only speak for myself, you guys may have a completely different experience. And if you do have a different experience, let me know down below because I am curious, but from my playtime, I haven't noticed anyone really blatantly hacking. All the stuff that does happen, it may seem a little suspect, but I can usually just attribute it to the different game mechanics. And so if you guys do have a different story, maybe I'm completely off my rocker, maybe there are blatant hackers and I just have gotten lucky and not encountered them, but if that is the case, let me know down below. The next question comes from Alfredo, and it is, what is your opinion about putting Battle Royale PvP game mode in The Division? I really like this idea, and I understand that's probably just because I like the idea of Battle Royale in a huge city like in The Division. I think that would be incredible to have this massive city arena and fight other players to survive and be the last one to win. But they also realize that it probably is never going to happen, and also doesn't make sense with what the game that they're trying to create and also the lore of what is going on in this universe. The Division is all about getting bigger and better loot and progressing your character. It is an RPG at its core, And Battle Royale, at least if we compare it to other games out there, if we compare it to the source, is about plopping people down with absolutely no resources, scavenging for weapons, and then telling them to just go kill people and become the sole survivor at the end. And while I really like the idea, I think it'd be very cool, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for what the Division is going for. And so would I complain if they added it on in? Absolutely not, but I just don't see that happening. What I'm really hoping for is that a big AAA developer realizes the potential of this game mode and creates an entire game around Battle Royale. Everything out there right now that has this game mode, it is pretty much tacked on. You got H1Z1, Ark, and Arma 3. If they had it in Division, that would also be tacked on. And so what I really hope for is that a developer goes on in and creates a multiplayer experience, and only a multiplayer experience, that is entirely designed around this concept. That sounds incredible. I would be very surprised and also a little disappointed if we don't see something like this in the near future. In the upcoming E3, if a game developer doesn't announce this, I will be very surprised by that news because I think that there's a lot of potential here. And so do I think that'll be fun in the Division? Yeah, I like the game mode in general. I think it could be a lot of fun in the Division. I just don't see it happening. And what I'm really hoping for is that we get a game that is entirely designed around this concept. The next question comes from Daniel, and it is, what do you think about adding a skyscraper map to Rainbow Six Siege where you can rappel inside of an elevator shaft to get into the different stories, or rappel from the roof and break into the huge glass windows to get inside? That sounds fantastic. I love this idea. First of all, it fits with the theme. Not every terrorist or whatever is going to randomly pick a house in suburbia to plant their bomb or whatever, or have a hostage. Every once in a while, you would assume that they would capture someone or be located inside of a gigantic skyscraper, and so it fits with the theme. Not only that, but it would really change the dynamic on how you approach this map in general. There's not really any place that you can run to, I would assume, to. I mean, there might be some scaffolding that you can take advantage of, but it would really rely on the repelling mechanic. Some people might not like this at all. I know a lot of people aren't really thrilled with repelling because it can be a little janky at times, and so I can understand that fear, but just the idea of being outside this massive skyscraper with a huge city all around you just sounds really, really cool. The only issue that I can think of this, and it's a small one, and I honestly have no idea what I'm talking about because I'm not a game developer, is that it may be hard on the consoles or low-end computers to be able to render a massive city directly below, but also still have all of the intricacies of destruction that they have in Rainbow Six Siege. A lot of the maps are very small, and I would assume this is for not only game design reasons, but also because of the way that they designed the game and the destructibility. Destruction, I'm assuming, is quite taxing on computers and on consoles, and so that's probably why they kept them very small. But if you're on the side of a skyscraper and you also have to render out this massive city below you because you want to make it feel realistic, we might run into some issues there. Once again, I might be talking out of my ass, and I probably am because I'm not a game developer, but that's really the only small issue that we might run into. And so I am really crossing my fingers that in upcoming DLC, they try to do something along these lines. As soon as I read your question, I immediately had a gigantic grin on my face because it just sounds fantastic. Some of you guys might disagree with me because the repelling mechanic is a little wonky at times, but if done correctly and they design it with that repel mechanic in mind, it could be a very, very fun map. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.